What's up, everybody? Welcome to the inaugural edition of the Zelo Zone. I am Matt Bacaling, your host, and joining me on our very first Zelo Zone episode, one and only Chicago's son, Pat MONIX. What's up, Pat? Welcome.
How you doing, Matt?
Thank you for joining me. Appreciate you being here. You know, we've worked with each other for a long time. We've known each other for a while, so I couldn't think of a better first guest to have here to kind of chat it out. We're currently in Crestwood at the Windy City Thunderbolts game. Want to take a couple minutes just to kind of chat, because it's been a good while since any of our fans or any fans in the Chicagoland area have actually gotten a chance to kind of sit down and talk with Pat MONIX. You've kind of gone through a ton of changes in the course of the last couple of years. We've seen you in a couple incredible feuds going on, a lot of marquee matches, especially some that are going on even here tonight that we'll get to later. But you're just coming fresh off of a year-long feud with Simon Gotch, with us here at Zelo. And now that that has kind of come to an end and you guys have had your big blow-off match with the I Respect You match, and he actually said I respect you, just want to get your thoughts on how that entire thing went and kind of how you're feeling now that it's over.
Yeah, it went really well. Obviously I came out on top, but the reason I feel like it went really well was over the year of feuding with Simon Grimm, I really found myself as a professional wrestler. I found myself as a performer. I feel like I found my voice, and I found a new confidence that I don't think I would have gotten if I wasn't put through all the situations and stipulations that Simon Grimm went on his way of putting me through for four, 5, 6 matches. I mean, a year long. I wrestled Simon Grimm in Chicago. I wrestled Simon Grimm in Wisconsin. I wrestled him in Florida. It seemed like for a year I couldn't get away from him. And I think when it was all said and done, my goal of proving to everyone that it's okay to be a project, it's okay to not be a star, it's okay to not be seen on a flyer and everyone's going to see you and think you're this big star, because everyone in wrestling is such a star and everyone's so confident. It's okay for someone, if they're just working their hardest and trying to get to that point. Anyone can beat anyone on any given night, and I proved that. But now with wrestling, now with this project mentality, it's about taking it to the next level. It's about taking it to the next phase. I've kind of become the project. I now bill myself as Project MONIX. It's really consumed me my entire life as professional wrestling. I eat, sleep, and breathe it every single day. Every single phase is about getting to that next step. And yeah, we're at the next step, and here at Zelo Pro, that next step kind of starts tonight, because I'm wrestling TJP, and we're getting to this point where these are the guys I'm getting booked against now, and without the feud between myself and Simon Grimm, stuff like this wouldn't be happening. So in this weird way, I gotta thank Simon Grimm.
Sure.
Never thought I'd say that, just like you never thought you'd say I respect you.
Absolutely. So to kind of take you back for a second and talk about Project MONIX and your new persona, you've got the new gear, you look like $1 million, and just kind of trying to walk me through where that came from in terms of the concept for Project MONIX. And did you come up with it prior to your feud with Simon Gotch, or was it kind of birthed out of the stuff you were going through with him at the time and knowing you needed to evolve in order to take it to the next level? Just kind of, I'm curious as to where that came from.
Yeah, the whole thing was just trying to visually project the idea of someone being a project. I've always been into that white belt for life mentality, where you're always learning, you're always trying to get better. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. So with wrestling, you want everything to be larger than life. You want to be able to come through the curtain and you want someone to go, that's the project, I get it. So I went through this whole situation of trying to come up with what would a project look like. What would a professional wrestling project look like? If someone was made in a lab to eat, sleep, breathe this business, how would it come off? And I started thinking like cords and batteries and futuristic armor, kind of half broken off. We got the half face, we got the red eye, kind of has that cyborg android look. I looked into a lot of cyberpunk, cartoon, comic, anime, movies, superheroes, kind of a lot of stuff like that, combined it all, hit up a guy who made a sketch for me. It looked nothing like what I wanted. Hit him up again, explained it a little more. He sent me a second sketch, and it was exactly what I wanted, and that's what you see today, and that's Project MONIX now.
Which is cool, and I think what's cool is that the fans have also really resonated with it, and it's almost as if they've had a part in creating the project as well, because you've given them a voice, both via your social media platforms and at the live events too, and they've really gotten behind you. And you have your own custom music, and I think that fans, especially like the smart marks and people who we know pretty well, come to appreciate the effort that is even just put into the gimmick as a whole, and knowing that you're investing your own personal finances and your time into creating something more of yourself, because they can see that you're working hard and they can appreciate that, which I think has also kind of helped boost you to the next level, which also is why we're seeing you in some of these pretty high-profile matches. And I mean, to kind of bring us to where we are tonight, you're coming off a feud with TJP, you've worked matches with DJZ, and now tonight you have a match with TJP, which maybe a year ago would kind of be totally out of our peripherals. So what are your thoughts kind of going into tonight, and did you have to do anything different to prepare for it, and what are you kind of hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, coming into tonight, preparation-wise, I always prepare the same. Every day, every single week, I kind of have this regimen down to prepare for each weekend. So I wouldn't say I've prepared any differently. I'm as focused as I've ever been, but that's as focused as I can get. For me to try any harder right now at this is impossible, and I know that sounds weird to say, but that's true.
You're busting your ass, man.
I'm working really hard, and it's funny because a lot of people ask me, like, what do you need to do? What do you need to do to get this next step in wrestling? Like, how do you get to these certain companies, or how do you get signed, or how do you ascend in wrestling? And my answer is kind of funny because I don't have one. I feel like I'm doing what I need to be doing, and if I just keep doing it at this pace, eventually I'm hoping it will pay off, and if it doesn't, I'm going down swinging. So tonight versus TJP, everyone wants a story in every match, right? Well, the story tonight is you got one of the best technical wrestlers in the entire planet going against a guy who could barely fill his car with gas money today. So if that's not enough of a story for you, like, man, I am coming tonight. I am here to win this match. I'm not here to be happy to be in the ring with TJP. Am I happy to be in the ring with him? Yeah, sure. But that's not gonna get me to where I want to get to. I don't want to be looking back a few years from now and be like, oh, remember when I wrestled TJP? Because I'm not reminiscing about when I wrestled Simon Grimm. I'm not reminiscing about when I wrestled DJZ. I'm not reminiscing about when I wrestled Jake Chris. Yeah. Those matches all happened. They were awesome. I learned from them. I got so much better from wrestling those guys. But TJP, like, man, he's today's phase today, and I'm not taking it lightly. And if he's taking it lightly, if he thinks this is just some summer festival show at a baseball game versus some indie guy, he's in for a rude awakening.
Sure, and yeah, I think it's also very relatable too, because at one point TJP was that guy. 15, 20 years ago, at some point every one of those guys that you faced recently was in your position, and now they are where they are now. And so to see those two different dynamics, like, you're obviously on your way up and on that projectile that you can see if you were to visually put it out on a graph, and you're just kind of now converging with all these guys, which is very cool to see, especially for those of us who are able to watch you on the local level or who have known you for a while. And I think it's also good for these guys who are at the level of a TJP to be able to work with guys like you and see, like, who the up-and-coming talent is and where they are, and kind of go from there. But essentially, tonight is going to be fun to watch no matter what. Go from our perspective and for the fans. I think that a lot of people were surprised by it when it was announced, and I think we're going to see some big things. So kind of turn the page a little bit. If Pat MONIX wasn't a wrestler, what's he doing? Like, was wrestling always the vision for you, or were there other passions in life?
Yeah, there was other passions. I played sports growing up. I played, basketball and football and baseball when I was way younger. But I think deep down I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. But you don't get put in pro wrestling class when you're 8 years old. You get put on the basketball team or the flag football team or the t-ball team. So it was kind of always this thing that seemed unattainable. And then all of a sudden I got to a certain age with the power of the internet and TV and looking up things and reading books where I realized, wait, you can just do this. There's an independent circuit. You can go join wrestling schools. These guys don't just show up on TV one day as superheroes like a lot of us as kids thought they did. So I wanted to be a wrestler.
When did that happen for you?
Yeah, I wanted to be a wrestler for a long time. Like, I wanted to be a wrestler since I was a kid, just like I wanted to be Michael Jordan.
Sure.
But I remember in maybe middle school, I realized there was a possibility because there was ECW on WWE TV, and a guy named CM Punk showed up, and he was billed from Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, so to me that was like, huh? This is the first time I've heard of someone coming from here and being on television. How did he get there? I Googled it real quick, found out there was a wrestling school. That kind of opened my eyes to the indies, and I realized that you could just join a wrestling school. Well, when I started looking for them, they were defunct, or you had to be 18 years old. When I became 18, I was going to school, so I had to make sure I took care of that. Once I got all my real life situations in order, I was able to pursue it. So I actually didn't start training until I was like I think I just turned 20.
Okay.
So I got a couple years of schooling, got my life together, got the finances in order, because wrestling school is not cheap. You have to have some sort of income because you got to pay for gas to get to practice every day.
Sure.
Normally, the place you train's an hour or more from where you live, because they're not everywhere. But yeah, the second I realized it was possible, I knew that at some point I was going to at least give it a shot. When it was time to pull the trigger and give it a shot, I had to have that moment where I looked at myself in the mirror and was just kind of like, all right, if we're going to do this, if we're going to spend all this money and time and effort and energy and passion towards this thing, like, I'm not gonna embarrass myself. Like, I'm gonna go all the way. And I made that decision myself, and I signed up for wrestling school without telling my parents. I drove my grandpa's car so they wouldn't notice that I took their car, and I just paid the down payment. I came home, my mom cried. She did not want me to do it. She was really upset. My dad was not very supportive of it either, mainly because of how she felt. But I told them, I already put the down payment down. So there was cash, there was no getting it back.
And how long ago was that? Like, what year are we talking here?
That was summer of 2013.
Okay.
So I started training about 6 years ago. I had my first match summer of 2014, but the first 2 years it was all stuff down in Florida. I really wasn't trained properly, not to throw anyone up under the bus, but it was a crash course because I was training summers and winter breaks. I was a full-time college student. So the first 2 years, 4 months each of those years, that's 8 months in 2 years. You're not going to get better at something that you're not doing every week of the year. Once I came back to Chicago, moved back home, I found Bryce's school, Bryce Benjamin. It's now called the Freelance Wrestling Academy. Hit the ground running, trained every single day that I could. There was Lucha Libre on Tuesdays and Thursdays, American Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Guys like DJZ, Mustafa Ali, Gringo Loco, Skyday, Discovery were all popping in every other day. And Bryce is an incredible trainer himself, really pushes everyone. Very few people have made it through Bryce's training and not succeeded, because he doesn't let you have a match until he knows that you're gonna succeed. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into wrestling.
Which is crazy, because 6 years has probably flown by pretty quickly, but to go from 2013 to see where you are here today and tonight and going everything we just talked about, it's pretty impressive, in 6 years.
Yeah, and there's always an asterisk next to everything. I like when people ask me how long I've been wrestling, I like to say 4, because 4 real years. 4 years of hitting it hard, 4 years of wrestling almost every single weekend. That's been the goal on average. Last year was 2018. I wrestled 138 matches on the year, so that averages about 2 a weekend.
That's crazy.
With no weekends off.
Yeah, good for you, man. So going to kind of wrap this up, what are your plans going forward past the summer? And then once you get past this match, are there any matches that you're looking forward to that you have on your schedule, or any that you are hoping that you get added to your schedule at some point as we go through the rest of 2019 into 2020?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of matches I want, but I don't like to get caught up in dream matches, because I don't want to get too excited about something that might not happen. I'll throw out a few names just for fun. I'd really like to wrestle Jimmy Jacobs. I'd really like to wrestle Eddie Kingston. I'd really like to wrestle Eddie Edwards. Those are 3 of many, and those are names that I say because those are matches that could realistically happen. They're doing here and there some independent shows right now when the price is right. So dream matches long term, I don't know, who doesn't want to wrestle Shawn Michaels, right? Who doesn't want to wrestle John Cena and CM Punk and etc. But yeah, I'm just focused on me and what I got lined up in front of me, and tonight that's TJP. That's honestly, it's the only thing that's real right now is me versus TJP. So tonight I need to deliver, and I'm going to deliver. Absolutely, man. We're looking forward to it. Appreciate the time. Thank you, Matt. Thank you guys for watching. Hit subscribe. We'll see you next time.